What's up with this fog? Oh my goodness. My time has come.
Well, it looks like Basement Dweller's gone. Looks like I should give up on my dreams and go home. Or, wait a minute, maybe I should do my own review. Hmm, seems possible. I guess today I'm gonna have to just do a little bit of a Redstar review.
Finally!
That's what we've been waiting for!
The movie that I'm going to be reviewing has a lot of complexities, and dare I say, layers. That's right, people. I'm gonna give you what you all want. I'm gonna be reviewing Nacho Libre. Alright, people, so Nacho Libre is a movie that follows the three-act structure of storytelling. It starts off with our very first scene giving us all the exposition that we need. Just by showing it, it shows our main character, Ignacio, as he creates his prototype luchador outfit. In the first scene, it shows how much passion he has for the art of lucha libre, but he is unable to follow that passion because of the life that he was born into. Instead, he is being put into a life of faith in cooking. We skip to years later where the kid turns into Jack Black, the lead singer of Tenacious D and also known as Jablinski Games. I'm so disappointed in myself. Shay Frillis did that joke way better than I ever could. But back to the review. Throughout the movie, it is shown that he enjoys helping the orphans that he takes care of in the monastery, but he still wishes for life better. Maybe it's because the monks treat him bad or something, but that's just a matter of perspective, man. Alright, later on in the story, Ignacio goes out to get some Doritos for the orphans, but then gets jumped by some street rat who robs him. After that, while heading back to the monastery, he sees this luchador getting all the praise and recognition that he wants. Something that, Ignacio wants for himself. After that, he then has a falling out with the brethren at the monastery. After the little falling out that he had with the brethren, he then goes to the same alley where he got jumped and then baits out the street rat. With a little bit of some persuading, mostly by force, he recruits him in order to join him in a lucha libre match, a tag team match to be specific. Then, just like that, they're off to their first match. After a hilarious training scene, we see Ignacio and his new friend under their new names, Nacho and El Skeleto. They begin their first match by sending in Esqueleto as the first man, and he ends up doing a pretty awful. He ends up getting his ass beat a little bit, but it's his first match. Then once Nacho comes in, he ends up dominating his opponent until he subsequently gets knocked out and cheap shotted. But I just want to know one thing: how is it that when Nacho gets knocked out, he ends up losing the entire match? And if you're eagle-eyed, you could kind of see that the opponent that Nacho was fighting got knocked out first. Does it really matter, actually? I mean, I guess not. But let's move on. In the locker rooms, Nacho seems pretty optimistic about his fight. He especially enjoyed the chanting of the crowds, while Esqueleto had a pretty terrible time. He got his hair ripped out. They then get paid, and then there's a montage of them spending their money on whatever they want. Nacho spends his money on new ingredients in order to tend to the orphans. Esqueleto mostly spends his money on getting cleaned up and looking a little bit better. He even buys like a little painting, which is cute. But then after this, Nacho hits Esqueleto with an idea that they need a super suit. Then we get one of the greatest suit up scenes in the world, where Nacho becomes Nacho. But it really doesn't do him any better because the next match they end up losing again. And this is where we sort of reach our falling action. Remember that plot structure thing I was talking about? It's where it comes in. It kind of starts off a little bit small, with Nacho losing for a second time. Then it starts with him desiring to be the best and to become famous out of it. He then makes some pretty terrible decisions that probably embarrassed him, such as trying to stage a fight, which goes south when he realizes that he actually started a fight with two random people unassociated with his plan. It was all in order to get the affection of a nun that had just been introduced into the monastery.
And who's that? Oh, it's Mr. MVP! Simp!
After losing the fight to the two random people, he then tries seeking alternative methods of strength since he feels that he's too weak even to beat two random people. And that's by seeking the help of a water gypsy. Personally, I would have tried a little bit of the juice. I would have been juicing. Steroids, I mean. I would have been doing drugs. But remember, kids, winners don't do drugs. Most winners. After this, it kind of shows that those eagle eggs did nothing, because he goes on a losing streak afterwards. Him and Esqueleto desire to go pro and to seek help from the pros, so they end up going to a party to talk to Ramses' manager, because Ramses is the best. As they are getting ready for the party, Sister Encarnacion reminds Nacho that he has not set up breakfast for the kids, meaning that his priorities are shifting from caring for his orphans to go and rub elbows with the elites. This moment kind of shows a deep contrast from when he first lost his first fight and gained a huge paycheck. He mostly used that money on the orphans to give them better food, but now he's neglecting the orphans and not setting up their food at all. Kind of goes to show that Nacho is having a little bit of a character dilemma where he's falling into his own pride because he wants to become a pro wrestler. Once they arrive to the party, they're unwelcome, but they don't leave empty-handed because Esqueleto finds a way to sneak in. Nacho finds a way to sneak in, but Esqueleto mainly figures out that they must fight and win in a battle royale, and so that they could face off against Ramses and then become pro. After the party, Nacho then arrives to his little motorbike being slashed by a couple of opponents that they had faced in the past and lost to. Esqueleto hilariously subdues them both with an elote. Well, it's implied he subdues them both. So once they get home, Nacho kind of wants to give up on his dreams of becoming a pro wrestler. And he sort of regains his passion for the orphans, but all at the wrong time, because he is too late to set them up with any breakfast. He later has a heart-to-heart talk with Sister Encarnacion, who took over his job of feeding the orphans, and tells her that he simply went to a wrestling match. This is a lie, but it sort of gets her to say how wrestling's immoral, and that it's wrong, and that pro wrestlers only fight for their pride and vanity. Nacho then asks if it's immoral to fight under any circumstance. Encarnacion replies that if his cause is noble enough, then only then will his fight be blessed. That little statement kind of makes you think, was Nacho being noble all along? Because in the first fight, he was really close to winning, and that's when he cared about the orphans the most, because he is seen afterwards buying them groceries for better food. But then when he starts caring about winning, pride, all those other things, then it kind of seems like that's when he started losing. It really does raise a lot of question. Nacho then has an inner monologue with himself, figuring out that in order to have a noble cause, he has to continue to fight for the orphans that he was fighting for in the beginning. He then accidentally lights himself on fire, and it is revealed to the whole monastery that he is Nacho.
Who?
Nacho.
Who? Nacho! Who?
Oh my gosh. Alright, so Nacho then makes a vow that when he becomes pro, he will dedicate all his winnings to the orphans. He then sets off to the Battle Royale with El Skeleto by his side, and he fights his second best fight in the entire movie, showing you that his cause is noble enough to fuel him to finally make it all the way, before being silenced by Silencio, who knocks him out after an outside interference causes Nacho to trip. He then returns to the monastery, a broken man. He then goes out into the wilderness since he is kicked out from the monastery, and doesn't return until years later. And then the movie skip. Never mind. Well, Esqueleto finds him in the wilderness. Well, forget it. But at least Esqueleto informs Nacho that a tragic injury has made it so that Nacho advances to fight Ramses. He tries to back out at first, but then Esqueleto reassures him he's an amazing fighter and that the children need a hero like him. So Nacho suits up and leaves Sister Encarnacion a letter detailing his love for her in only a way that Nacho could. Next, Nacho and Ramses both prepare for their ensuing fight, Ramses preparing his pride, but Nacho preparing his heart with a song and dance. Nacho and Esqueleto do one last prayer. Just as the fight is about to begin, Nacho and Ramses go blow for blow, matching each other with all kinds of reversals and transitions. Just as Ramses is getting the upper hand, Nacho narrowly escapes a pin attempt and a power bomb, making it into the second round. Ramses, being overwhelmed by the fans cheering for Nacho instead of him, decides to cheap shot Nacho, then get the upper hand and then unmask him. This is a sign of that if Nacho loses this fight, not only will he lose the fight, but he will lose his honor in being demasked. Nacho then manages to break free, but this is a short-lived victory, as Ramses gets the upper hand yet again, and now he's at the mercy of Ramses. Then, out in the distance, Nacho sees Sister Encarnacion, along with the orphans. This shows that she deems Nacho's fight noble and worthy. Nacho then forces Ramses off of him and completely dominates Ramses, and does his most ultimate move. Nacho climbs the top ropes and flies at Ramses like a majestic fat eagle, and then pins him with the crucifix cradle. Nacho beats Ramses and regains his honor. In the end, it shows that Ignacio fulfills his promise and buys the orphans a bus so that they could go on field trips. And he lives happily ever after. Nacho Libre is a simple movie with a simple story structure of a man who goes through a lot of defeats to learn his noble cause for fighting. That's probably the most basic summarization that I could give, but feel free to comment your own opinion on the movie. As of right now, it's time for me to fulfill my noble cause and find out where Dweller went. Maybe we could both do a review together. I don't know. Bye.